6 bridges. I want you to visualize that for a second. We aren't talking about a scratch paint job. We aren't talking about a clip mirror. We are talking about a commercial vehicle weighing 80,000 pounds, traveling at highway speeds, smashing into the concrete infrastructure of a major American toll road 6 separate times. One truck, one driver, one afternoon, and millions of dollars in damage. The Oklahoma Turnpike Authority didn't just issue a ticket. They didn't just tow the truck. They had to declare a literal state of emergency. They had to scramble engineers to the Will Rogers Turnpike to figure out if the bridges were going to collapse onto the cars driving underneath them. It sounds like a scene from a disaster movie, but this is the reality of the trucking industry in December 2025. And here's the scary part. This bridge strike wasn't an accident. It was the inevitable result of a system that has allowed ghost carriers, chameleon companies, and completely unqualified drivers to flood our highways. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Marcellus with Trucking with MBR. Now on this video, we are going to war with the data. You guys have been flooding my comment section, and I mean flooding it, and I really appreciate that. You've been asking for the truth about what is happening in Oklahoma. You've heard the rumors about the ice raids on I-40. You heard the whispers about no-name CDLs, and you've asked me, who is funding these guys? How are they staying in business when rates are this low? Well, I did the digging. I pulled the court records. I pulled the DOJ indictments, and I pulled the carrier safety snapshots. On this video, we're going to expose the specific company behind the bridge strikes, PXM Transportation. We're going to break down the Operation Guardian sting that arrested 34 foreign nationals in a single night. And most importantly, we're going to answer the question that nobody else wants to touch, the drug money. We're going to name the carriers like DGC Express and Dare Express that the feds say were using trucking as a front for the Sinaloa cartel. If you are an honest owner-operator trying to survive in this market, you need to watch this video, because these are the people you are bidding against on a load board. Let's start with the immediate chaos, the Will Rogers Turnpike disaster. On December 18th, a semi-truck eastbound on I-44 ignored every warning sign in the book. The load was over height, measured at over 15 feet, and the legal clearance is 14 feet. Now, any professional driver knows that if you are pulling an oversized load, you have a permit, you have a route survey, you might have a pilot car, you certainly have a GPS program for truck routes. This driver had none of that. He hit the first bridge near Claremore and he kept driving. He hit the second, he kept driving. By the time Oklahoma Highway Patrol finally stopped him, he had compromised the structural integrity of 6 overpasses between Claremore and Veneta. So who was it? Who hires a driver like that? The company is PXM Transportation Incorporated. They are based out of the Chicago area, specifically Illinois. And if you have been watching this channel for any length of time, the hair on the back of your neck just stood up. Illinois, specifically the suburbs around Chicago, has become ground zero for what the FMCSA calls chameleon carriers. Here is how the scam works and why PXM Transportation fits the profile perfectly. A small carrier opens up. They buy a handful of used trucks, usually Volvos or Freightliners with 1 million miles on them. They hire drivers who can't get hired anywhere else, often because of bad records, lack of experience, or questionable legal status. They run hard and fast. They ignore maintenance. They ignore hours of service. And when their safety score gets too high, or when they hit 6 bridges in Oklahoma and get sued into oblivion, they don't fix the problem. They just close the doors on Monday and reopen on Tuesday under a new name. PXM Transportation becomes MXP Logistics. The trucks are the same, the drivers are the same, the dispatchers are the same, only the DOT number changed. This chameleon tactic is why rates are so low. These companies don't have the overhead you do. They don't pay for proper insurance. They lie on their applications, they don't pay for proper maintenance, and as we are about to see, Sometimes they aren't even relying on the freight for their profit. But PXM is just a symptom. The disease is much widespread. While that bridge was getting smashed, the Oklahoma Highway Patrol was conducting a massive operation on I-40 near the Arkansas border called Operation Guardian. This is where the story gets political and where it gets terrifying. Governor Keith Stitt authorized state troopers to partner directly with ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. This is rare. Usually state troopers check logbooks and tires. They don't check visas. But Oklahoma said that's enough. In a single 15-hour blitz, they stopped hundreds of trucks and they arrested 34 commercial drivers. I want to be clear about this. They didn't arrest 34 random people in passenger cars. They arrested 34 people driving 18-wheelers. These were foreign nationals who were in the country illegally or whose visa had expired, yet they were behind the wheel of a heavy commercial vehicle. And this leads us to the no-name CDL scandal. You guys asked me in the comments, how? How does an illegal immigrant get a CDL? The answer lies in a loophole that is so big you could drive a truck through it, literally. Governor Stitt and the OHP released evidence showing that many of these drivers were holding valid commercial driver's license issued by the state of New York. But when you look at the ID under the section for first name and last name, it doesn't say John Smith. It doesn't say Juan Garcia. It says no name given. Or sometimes no name given and mall. How is this possible? New York, along with a few other states, has a policy regarding individuals who may only have a single name on their birth documents. It's common in some parts of rural India or Afghanistan. But instead of standardizing the process, the DMV system simply default to no name given as a legal placeholder. So you have the ridiculous situation where a state DMV is issuing a federal commercial license, a license that allows you to transport hazmat, fuel, and heavy machinery to a person who, on paper, doesn't even have a name. These no-name drivers then leave New York, travel to Chicago or Oklahoma, and get hired by these chameleon carriers who are desperate for warm bodies to fill seats. The driver is happy because he has a job. The carrier is happy because the driver is cheap and won't complain about safety violations. And the broker is happy because the load gets moved for $1.10 a mile. The only person who isn't happy is you, the American owner-operator who is playing by the rules, paying for insurance, and wondering why you can't compete. Now, we have to go deeper. We have to follow the money. A lot of you have pointed this out in the comments. You said, Marcellus, there is no way these guys are making money hauling cheap freight. The fuel costs alone would bankrupt them. Someone else is paying the bills. You are 100% right. Let's talk about DGC Express and Dare Express. These are two trucking companies that were recently indicted in federal court, and the details of the indictment read like an episode of Breaking Bad. According to the Department of Justice, these weren't trucking companies. They were logistics branches for the Mexican cartels. The feds discovered that DGC Express wasn't worried about the rates per mile. They were worried about the payload hidden inside the trucks. They found liquid methamphetamine dissolved into the diesel fuel tanks. They found false compartments built into the reefer units. They found millions of dollars worth of fentanyl moving up I-35 and I-40. Think about the economics of that. If you are a legitimate carrier, you need to make $2.50 a mile or $3 a mile to cover your truck note, your fuel, your insurance, and your salary. If the rate drops to $1.50, then you go broke. But if you are a drug front carrier, you don't care if the rate is $1.50. You don't care if the rate is 50 cents. Hell, you will haul the freight for free. Why? Because the freight is just a cover story. The load of produce or auto parts is just a camouflage to get the trucks from the border to Chicago and New York. The real money, the millions of dollars in drug profit, is hidden in the fuel tank. This artificially depresses the market. It floods the load boards with trucks that don't need to make a profit, and it drives honest, hardworking Americans out of business. When Oklahoma launched Operation Guardian, they weren't just looking for expired visas. They were looking for these mules. They were looking for the connection between the no-name drivers, the chameleon carriers, and the cartel money. So why is this blowing up now? Because the infrastructure is crumbling. When PXM Transportation smashed those 6 bridges, they cost the taxpayers of Oklahoma millions of dollars. That was the wake-up call. Governor Stitt basically said, we are done. Oklahoma passed the Secure Roads and Safe Trucking Act of 2025. This is one of the toughest laws in the country. It makes it a felony to smuggle people. But more importantly for us, it hits the drivers. If you are caught driving a commercial vehicle in Oklahoma without legal status, it is no longer just a ticket and a don't do it again. It is a $3,000 fine. It is 90 days in jail, and it is the permanent seizure of the vehicle. That's right, they are seizing the trucks. If PXM Transportation sends another driver down I-44 and he gets popped in the sting, PXM doesn't get that truck back. It goes to the auction block. This is the only way to stop the Chameleon carriers. You have to hurt their wallet. You have to take the assets. Now, I know this is heavy. I know it's frustrating. I read your comments every day. I see the anger. You guys are out there busting your knuckles, doing pre-trips, keeping your logs clean, and you feel like the system is rigged against you. You feel like the government is letting these no-name guys run wild while they inspect you for a loose mud flap. But here's the silver lining. This crackdown in Oklahoma is spreading. Texas is doing it. Florida is doing it. Even Tennessee is starting to ramp up enforcement. Every time they catch a PXM driver, every time they seize a drug front truck, that is capacity leaving the market. That is unfair competition being removed from the board. We are heading into 2026, and I truly believe we're going to see a flight to quality. Shippers are getting tired of their freight ending up in a ditch or in an impound lot. They're getting tired of lawsuits. See, and honestly, you have to ask yourself, do you want to keep playing the OTR game where you are competing with the cartels and ghost carriers? Or do you want to find a lane that they can't touch? I have been preaching this for a while now, the final mile, the box truck game, the local delivery game. The cartels aren't running Amazon packages in the suburbs. The no-name drivers aren't doing white glove appliance installation in gated communities. That is a protected market. It's a relationship market. It requires customer service. It requires speaking the language, and it requires trust. If you are tired of looking over your shoulder on I-40, if you are tired of competing with the guys who haul for free, you need to pivot. I have spent the last few weeks building a complete blueprint for this. It's my box truck business course, and I put it right here on YouTube for free. The link is in the description box. I want you to walk through how to get the contract that pays legitimate rates. I show you how to set up your authority so you don't look like a chameleon. I show you how to build a business that is asset-based and recession-proof. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's real work. But it's work where you don't have to worry about an ICE raid shutting down the highway. Once again, the link is right down in the description box. Do yourself a favor and watch the first module. Just see if it makes sense for you. Now, to wrap this up, we're going to keep our eyes on PXM Transportation. I want to see if Illinois actually revokes their authority or if they just pop up next week as PXM Logistics. And I'm going to keep tracking the court cases for DGC and their Express. And if more names drop, I will drop them here on the video. If you're running through Oklahoma this week, also keep your paperwork in order. The OHP is not bluffing. If you are legal, you have nothing to worry about. But expect delays and expect inspections. And for the love of God, if you see a bridge, make sure you can fit under that bridge. Check out the video below on the screen where I talk about how Sean Duffy threatens to defund New York over ghost CDLs. He gave him a 30-day warning. In this video, I break down the bombshell report from the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, and the FMCSA, and cover the ultimatum that was given to New York. Also, make sure you smash that like button, share this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your post notifications so you know when I drop a new video. And make sure you stay safe out there, keep the rubber side down, and I'll see you on the next video.